Good morning, Steve here, and I've been entertaining entertaining myself for the past half hour or so, um, talking to myself via computer, so I can. It's like sitting in front of a mirror, although it's reverse mirror. So when you think this side is that side, and you get confused because you want to touch your right. But that is your right, but it isn't where you think of going. You think that would be the right side based on this being that, but it's not a mirror image. It's actually you in reverse, as if you're sitting across from yourself. It's quite interesting when you try to like straighten your hair or something. You're trying to change change one. You've got some ADHD issues and you're trying to get your two shiny buttons in the same location, but you can't figure out where to put your fingers, which fingers on which side. It's good for the brain. It's an exercise for the brain. Change is an exercise for the brain. So, starting again, good morning. Steve here. And today I'd like to really consider, if you've made it this far and haven't gotten kind of like confused by my talking about mirror images and talking to myself, or listening to voices inside my head, which I also do, I have to admit. I've been doing for a long time, like I'm going to say 66 years, that I've been aware of the voices in my head. But the voices in my head weren't the voices of like my father, which, transferred to my head later, with some of the things he might have said about, me. Because we're really kind of, even though we're not all like full-blown narcissists, we do see the world outside of our own perspective. And we are trying to do our best to survive in this world. That's for some of us who might be comfortably referred to as the paranoid, might think that on some levels they're out to get us. And I would say, if you are one of those who have had that thought, you might want to let it go, because our thoughts, when they're propelled by emotions, may be what creates our reality. I mean, I'm not really exactly certain what creates our reality, whether it's groupthink or it's individual thoughts, and maybe we don't create our reality. Maybe our reality is created by some 3D movie maker, and we're just in the middle of this 3D movie, just that's telling you. And at this point, you're going to turn your head to the left, and you go, "Oh, that is to the left." Yeah, I like the construct. So the construct means creation. So I like the construct that you create your own reality. I mean, you do. I'm not sure about that I create my own reality, but you create your own reality. And if you don't like your reality, you can just feel really bad about it if you want. Like, I created this. Boy, I must just be a mess or something. And you might, so I'm feeling this tension. So I'm just going to go with this tension. That's all. I'm just doing interesting things today. Interesting to me. And you don't have to watch it. So I'm feeling this tension. And it is a tension about feeling bad about feeling bad about the perception that we create our own reality, and then feeling bad about the reality that we created, and then maybe feeling guilt and shame that we've created such a bad reality, and then maybe we go to the core. Okay, so this is getting interesting for me, maybe not for you. It just doesn't matter. But there's some of you out there that this is really interesting. So you're the ones I'm speaking to. So we're going to go into this feeling that might have come from any statement. In particular, the words that come into my consciousness when I'm feeling this feeling is, well, two things actually. One is, can he do anything right? So just get the energy of that. And get the energy of, are you stupid or what? That's another one. Those are two that obviously still have some energy. So we're just going to release that energy today. So I would suggest that you state out loud, if you're by yourself and not in your office watching a video, you're supposed to be working. And you can state it quietly, like, I choose to connect to my deep self. Just you whisper it, and the deep self will hear it. I choose to connect to my deep self. I choose to ground myself to the healing power, healing center of the planet. Then feel yourself do that. And I choose to work with the hot doors. If you do, then you state that. So now we've got this tension, and the tension is in the center of the chest, and I don't have it. I can show you. That's where it is. So it's, right over what we would call the heart chakra. So I've got hold of it. I can feel that tension. I've let it really be there. I can feel it. And then I'm going to make the sounds to release it. So if you feel this tension in your chest, and this tension would be kind of guilt, shame, anxiety, panic about yourself, that there's something really wrong with you. So you're just going to get into that feeling. We're going to come out of it, but you're going to get into it right now. Just feel that feeling. There's something inherently wrong with me. While you are connected to your deep self, where there is nothing wrong with you. So you're connected to your deep self. You're feeling the peace and calm of your deep self, and yet you're holding this pattern of tension that's been in your chest since you were a child. So you're doing that at the same time. This is a new thing I'm learning right now. I'm being taught this new thing. And then there's going to be a very gentle sound that's going to release this. And yesterday, if you watch yesterday's videos, that was so intense. And if you think it was intense watching it, you should have seen how intense it was inside it. You did see how intense it was because you watched my face going like, okay. So we got this thing right here. This is like this self-judgment that you're not good enough, that you'll never be good enough, that you started off not good enough and there's nothing you can do about it. You're just not good enough forever. So you got that feeling. You got the feeling of peace of the deep self. It's hard to hold on to this when you got that feeling of peace for the deep self, but you can. You can hold on to it until you hear the sound. And the sound is... and it's gone. Now, if it's not gone for you, then it's great, because then that proves that you've never done anything right? So if that was the issue, can't he ever do anything right? Or are you stupid or what? So if you fail attempting to release a thought, then does that make you once again convinced you're a total failure? And if so, you feel that energy still there. So for you where it was still there, because I felt like I let it go, but for you who still have it, then we're going to do this again. Okay. Yeah. And if it takes another time or another time or another time, you feel it breaking up and not releasing, breaking up and not releasing fully, then just do it again and again and again and again. Just keep going back, like to 2 minutes ago, and then watch it again. Then go back 2 minutes ago, watch it again. And then finally, when you feel it release, then you're done with that one. So today, I like the kind of flashing of the lights. So today, I did two things. I looked at the Mayan calendar to see what the day was in terms of the 20 kin. So if you don't know about the 20 kin, you go to 13moon.com and find out by putting, it says decode of date or decode of birth date. Click on it, put your month, day, and year of birth in, and they'll tell you which of the 20 kin you are. Yeah, I'm not going to complicate it with the 13, I think, lunar tones. I'm not going to go into that part of it, but just the 20 kin to start with. And that's how every day, every 20 days, it goes through the 20 kin, then starts over again. And the next 20 days, it goes through the 20 kin. And today is the day of the yellow star. And the yellow star is about beautifying, it's about elegance, it's about art. So maybe we can, have this process we do today appear artistic. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, maybe we'll fail at it. You'll have to feel that feeling of, are you stupid or what? Or has he ever done anything right? Or he never finishes anything he starts, or any of those thought forms, curses, really, that people placed on you that you can release now. And then did you notice everything got brighter? And it could have just been me, but I noticed that, or you can just release that now. And then all of a sudden everything got brighter. So, if we are in a 3D matrix, we may as well have fun. And if we aren't in a 3D matrix, we may as well have fun. So no matter what, we may as well have fun. Even when we're uncomfortable, we're going to release it faster if we're having fun. It's been proven by science. So you can trust the science because they don't forge anything, or they don't make up stories. They just tell you the truth. Safe, effective. They don't say what kind of effective it is or who it's safe for. Might be safe for the people that created it because there's laws that keep people from suing them if something goes wrong. So it's safe for them. And in terms of what it is for you, you'll have to find out. And people have found out. Was it safe? Not for me. Was it effective? Well, yeah, it created a whole bunch of stuff. Did you like it? No. Oh, well. You bought the advertisement. What did they say? You took the blue pill, or you took the red pill, or you took a pill, or something. And I've oftentimes said, and I'll oftentimes say again, the group of people that I personally have the least trust for are drug dealers. I didn't have a lot to do with them in my teenage years, but I had a little bit to do with them. And that little bit I had to do with them let me know that they're not people to be trusted. And so I don't. And so I've carried that into the present, and I've made my choices based on the distrust of drug dealers. So I make a lot of my choices. They've turned out to be good choices from my perspective. All right, so back to beauty and art. So the yellow star, I'm just going to read that. You can go read the whole thing. You can go to Yellow Star. If you type today's date in, it'll come up. You know, if you put in whatever today is, you know, whatever day, 6th. So if you type in, you know, April 6th, and then 2024, it'll just show up. You don't have to type it in. It'll show up, and you hit it, you'll find out today's a Yellow Star Day. And I'm just going to read the bottom by Chamalu. And I have no idea who Chamalu is. But he says things good enough for some people to quote him or her. Chamalu. Could be a man, could be a woman, could be a man-woman. Chamalu is quoted as saying, when we contemplate life through the eyes of purity, everywhere we look, we see beauty. It's a good one for me today. I've been kind of in a mild conspiracy mode, and I'm going to ignore I'm going to currently ignore the crying cat syndrome, because I put her outside because she was like doing stuff and jumping up on things and stuff, and so I put her outside so I could focus on doing this video that is so important. So a very important thing. I made that up, but I make up everything. So the first card. So I picked 3 cards for today for the people that watch my videos, which there are a growing number of them. I don't know if they watch them more than a minute, and my videos tend to be longer than a minute, and I don't usually say much of anything useful in the first minute. So people who watch it for a minute, they're just going like, oh, this guy, he doesn't say anything useful. And they're like, you know, they kind of have a similar opinion, I think, to my life partner in terms of my usefulness or youthfulness. Oh, poor kitty, it must be cold outside. But if I let her in, I know she's going to be torturing me again really quick. So, what are we coming out of? So, as a group in the world, what are we coming out of? I'm going to go to the page first. It's the 5 of Cups. And so, as many of you know, who know tarot much better than I do. So, I know a little bit about tarot. I know even less about astrology. But I could say this with some confidence, that the cups have to do with emotions. And we got what we're working with from the past. So let's see. Let's put the past over here. Sure. Let's put the past here. We'll put the present here. We'll put the future there. Okay. So past. So what we're working with, and the past is present as well, not to confuse you. But the past, the reason we're talking about it is it's still present. If the past was past and we were done with it, we wouldn't be talking about it. But because there's so many things in the past that we're not done with, and what does it mean that we're not done with the things in the past? It means that there's things from the past that we still have emotions attached to. And you'll notice when I tell you, well, this reading's for you. And you go, well, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't feel that. You're just making that up. And I would say right back to you, well, you're just making that up, that I'm making it up. Because we're all making it up, and we're just making up different things. And then we can argue about them. We could give each other the evil eye. Or do whatever we want. And do it having a lot of fun. So take a look at this. This is the 5 of Cups. And the word is disappointment. So this is what we're coming out of. This is what we carried forward from the past. And so the Five of Cups is emotional disappointment. And what it does, and I've watched this with myself and with others, that disappointment can make you feel fragile, breakable, and vulnerable, like the glass cups represented on this symbol. Glass cups. They're fragile, breakable, and vulnerable. So disappointment is a state where you experience emotional depression like the murky seas and anger like the red sky. Disappointment takes us off balance, which is symbolized by the askewed star, and makes us feel uprooted like the lily pads with the falling lotus blossoms. Yet, disappointment can be a transformative agent. The roots of the lily pad make the shape of a butterfly, which is a universal symbol for transformation. The astrological aspect of this card is Mars in Scorpio. Mars is the planet that is associated with energy, vitality, and assertion. Like Mars, this is disappointment that is deep and vital. This is a disappointment that goes to a very deep level, like Scorpio. Scorpio is associated with the depths. This is not a superficial disappointment you're feeling. This is the real thing. The deep disappointment that sits on top of your deep self that feels no disappointment. So if you're attached to the deep disappointment, then you'll feel the deep disappointment. It'll always be there running your life. But when you go below that into the deep self and you feel the deep peace and calm of the deep self, like right now, you can feel that deep disappointment start to just ease up and wash away like the dirt off your car in the car wash. It's a metaphor. If it was a really good one, it would be a meta 5. And this is the 5 of Cups. And we create our own reality. So I'm going to say that was a meta 5. Wow. We reached a meta 5. And we're going for the 5th dimension. Harmony and understanding. I mean, when you think about who made that song, The Age of Aquarius, the name of the band was The 5th Dimension. I'm not kidding. They're talking about harmony and understanding. And the kitty crying like a big baby outside. I'll let her in a minute because I know it's torturing you. Okay. So, when you pull this card, it indicates in the next 5 weeks, the next 5 months, or the next 5 minutes when you're working with a fool, which I am. You may want to release old disappointment connected with Scorpio people or connected with family members or associated with family members. And that you're no longer willing to hold on to past disappointments. So you're not willing to hold on to the past. And you can have memories of the past as long as they're not filled with emotional charge. Because if they're filled with emotional charge, then they are traumas. Events that have no emotional charge are called events. And we've had lots of events in the past. If I were to say, you ever been in a car accident? If you had been in a car accident and you cleared all the energy of it, you would say, yeah, I've been in a car accident. And if you haven't cleared out the energy, you're like, let me tell you about this car accident. We're going down a very steep slope in the winter. And we are going up to do some cross-country skiing in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And this downhill slope was probably a half a mile to a mile in length. And I was driving, or if it was me, if it's a true story, I was driving my girlfriend's probably a Vega, but anyway, it was one of those kind of cheap little station wagons that just did not handle well on the road. And and if it was a true story, and I was attempting because this truck, semi truck, was going kind of too slow. But then as I went in the passing lane and tried to pass it, it's because it was going downhill, it started going faster and faster. And then I wasn't aware of how fast I was going, if it was me, if it was a true story. And then I actually got a little bit, and then I realized that I wasn't going to be able to pass it, and I should probably slow down. But by the time I had the thought I should probably slow down, my car started to turn sideways like this. And I knew I had a semi truck right behind me. And so I started going, oh, as the car was spinning around, going down what it turned out to be a very icy highway with semi trucks coming down behind it. And like a miracle, the car flew off the side of the road and landed in a deep pile of snow, which cushioned the blow, and the car dropped down. And it's good that it flew off the road right when it did, because 50 feet further was a gully. And if you know, going to La Crosse, Wisconsin, if you know that bridge that you go across, goes over like a mini Grand Canyon, and that drop was 100 to 200 feet down. And so it's a little bit further, and it would have been just like Thelma and Louise, woo, going down. So that could be the kind of story if I say, have you had an accident? And I told that one because it took me quite a while to let go of the emotions of I almost died, I almost died, I almost died. But I did. I mean, you didn't even probably feel too much emotion unless you felt the emotion of like, oh, it's like watching a movie and your stuff comes up. All right, so that's 5 of Cups. So it's letting go of disappointment. Now, currently, and we're going to go, it's interesting, we got 2 5s. And we got the 5 of Wands. And Wands have to do with our creative side. And we can create good things and maybe things that we don't think of as good things. But the 5 of Wands looks like this. And as it says, the 5 of Wands has to do with strife. So we're moving, it's a really high day. We're moving from disappointment to strife. And we'll see how much we want to talk about strife. But the 5 of Wands is a symbol of the state of strife, anxiety, and frustration. Which, remember that thing over the chest? That was some panic, anxiety energy. And then frustration, if you just feel that area, because we can bring it right back, because we're creating it. So we're either creating it with our minds, constructing the state of panic, anxiety, and of frustration, and strife, anxiety, and frustration. And when we talk about it, we can kind of feel it like, oh, yeah, and that creates a certain area of tension over the chest, right? Over was referred to as the thymus chakra or the heart chakra. Sometimes it's referred, they're different things, but still, like over the heart, that panic over the heart. So there it is. And it's from strife, which is, strife to me means like an inner turmoil, which is what all our stuff is about. I almost said shit, but what all our stuff is about is inner turmoil. And then we think that we can clear up the inner turmoil by cleaning up the world. But it's inner turmoil. It's kind of like the idea that you can look in the mirror and you can put shaving cream on the mirror, if you weren't doing it in reverse, or if you were doing it in reverse, but you put shaving creams on, and then you come in. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. You come in, oh, you got to be close to your own. You come in on the mirror, and you take the razor, and in the mirror, you remove the shaving cream, and you think that you've shaved. It's the same thing. If you put the shaving cream on the mirror and use the razor to remove the shaving cream from the mirror, unless you're a really good magician, because you might be, and I'm sure you are, but unless you're a really good magician, when you remove the shaving cream from the mirror, you still have beard on your face. It just doesn't, the mirror doesn't shave you. That's the same construct as thinking that you can change other people in the world and you'll feel better. And sometimes you will, because if you make people do things you want them to do and they do them, you go, well, aren't I powerful? And that's what the people in power think. They can make people do stupid things by scaring them, and then they feel powerful. But the reality is they're not powerful, they're just cruel. and the longer we put up with it, the more cruel they get, and they're getting more and more like, ugh. And we go just like, I'm a sovereign being. I'm connected to my deep self. I feel the peace and calm flowing through my entire body, but I don't want you to do that too much because I don't want you to change that feeling of frustration yet. So I want to show you the magic of releasing it. So they've talked about this is strife, anxiety, frustration. It's inner turmoil. It's the experience of having abundant energy but not knowing what to do with that energy, or it's a lot of energy that's being contained or held back. So that energy can produce change, but it's the concern about changing. Will I like the change? Will I like who I am after I let go of holding on to who I think I am? And that's part of what this inner turmoil is. I want to be different, but not change. I want to be different, but I don't want to change. Then how can you possibly be different? So if you really want to be different, then shut up about not wanting change, because you get one or the other. You either get to stay the same or you get to be different. If you stay the same, you get to keep all the stuff you have right now, and I don't know how many of you want to do that, but there might be a couple. Or you change. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Well, maybe I did on a subconscious level. Or you get to change, and you get to give up what you carried into this moment, and you get to come to the other side of it, which you're going to get to do right now. So we're doing magic now, and if you feel like magicians are people to be feared, or they're horrible, or they're just trying to take your money, well, then you just got to deal with that. So you might have to shut it off and go think about that for a while and work it out in your head and do all this, I'm going to change him, and then you go back and watch the rest of it, and I've changed, and you go, whoa, I'm so powerful. And you are. I'm going to prove it, how powerful you are. All right. So we're going to go back and we're going to recreate that feeling, because you were starting to clear it already and you're just getting ahead of myself. So you're going to go back and feel the strife, anxiety, frustration. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel like how difficult it is to change, and I've always wanted to change, but I've never been able to change, and I'm still myself, but you're not your deep self. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go, I connect with my deep self. And then you're going to find yourself in the consciousness of your deep self, which is at peace. The energy is flowing. Your deep self is like, it's all good. It's all good. They're like Californians. The deep self is like the Californians. It's all good, Uncle. We're good. We're good. Yeah, we're good. And then notice that strife, anxiety, frustration when you're in the deep self. And we can make sounds if you want the sound. I mean, it's really just letting go. But the sound helps you let go. So if you want to make the sound, we can just go, ooh. And then we let go. And it's like, where did it go? Can you recreate it? Of course you can recreate it. Do you want to recreate it? Well, in some circumstance, you may want to be in futility or frustration or strife or anxiety or, well, I'm used to being in panic. It's what gets me to work every day. That and coffee. Yeah, I understand. You're talking, I was a pro. I was a professional coffee drinker. And actually, this is a true story. And of course, all stories are stories. So can they be true? So is that an oxymoron that it's a true story? Because if it's a story is something that's made up. So can it be true? So these are questions to ask ourselves. So this is a true story, or it's a hallucination of a memory. So here's what I did. And I've told this story briefly before, but I had a friend who was volunteering his time. He wasn't being paid for it. I paid him to do other things, but he was volunteering to help me install a dishwasher for a little house on a lake that I was going to sell and buy a bigger house on a lake. And so I was there, and he suggested we take the dishwasher out of the box by lifting it up. And I thought, that's a terrible idea. And I tried to talk him out of it. He wouldn't have it. So I decided to be super stupid and help him lift that out of the box. And he was like 6'2" and long arms and everything, and I was like 5'8" and short arms. And anyway, I herniated my disc. I had the weekend to recover from a herniated disc. I didn't recover from a herniated disc, but I went back to work because I didn't feel like I could afford to not go to work. And so I had that problem for a long time. It still tweaks once in a while now. This has been interesting for me. Hopefully it has some interest for you. And we're going to just, whatever that story was and why I told it, you can make up that what it meant for you as a metaphor or meta 5. And then, so we had the 5 of cups, the 5 of wands, and 5 and 5 add up to, correct, 10. And so what we picked that we're moving into is the 10 of trumps, major arcana. And so it's kind of a cool looking picture. And this is referred to as the Wheel of Fortune. And the thing about the Wheel of Fortune is, in order to spin the wheel and have something different show up, you have to remove the ball from the wheel. So you have to release what you're holding on to. It's a black 7. It's a black 7. I think there's blacks and reds in the roulette wheel. But you have to remove the wheel, the ball from the wheel, spin the wheel, drop the ball back in till you get a change. And it might still go back to black 7, and then it's like, but whatever. The Wheel of Fortune has to do with you're fortunate enough to have change be your constant. And if you want your world to change, that thing you look outside yourself and say, that's my world, then it will change when you change. Because it's your perception from inside that's projected into the world and gives you the experience. So that's that's your future. And it says fortune on it. So fortune can be, you're making it up. It's a word. You can look it up, on Wikipedia or something. But fortunately, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of thoughts about the word fortune. So there are fortune tellers. So right now I can be your fortune teller, and I can tell you that your upcoming world is going to be very, very fortunate. It's going to be full of change. All you're going to have to do is grab your balls and pull them off the ring. Yeah, so just reach down, grab the ball, pluck it up off of the field, and spin that thing and drop it down again. And that's going to be your next fortune. And work with that. And then pick that ball up, spin the wheel again, drop it down again, have it go again. And you get to pick what you do. And if you don't like the outcome that you get to go again. And go again, and go again. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. But I want to go back to the saying, to complete this for now. I want to go back to the saying of the yellow star, which is the kin for today, that was made by Chamalu. And so if it was made by Chamalu, it's got to be accurate. It's in quotes. It's got to be accurate. When we contemplate life through the eyes of purity, everywhere we look, we see beauty. Okay. I liked it. I hope you like it, and I hope we all like it, and I hope we laugh more because of the construct, which means creation, and we're creators, and we construct our reality. So the construct that life can be more fun if you allow it to be. Now let's go.